So this evening we are going to practice something nice and calming for equilibrium. And if you've managed to make it, let's start by lying down on our mat, relaxing into Shavasana, allowing the shoulders to come further down. Checking the hands, maybe widening out the fingers and then releasing them. Chin slightly towards the chest. Feet about 2 foot apart or so. And the toes going outwards. And there's that feeling of the body melting to the ground, letting go. You can move, shuffle the body a little, see if you can make it even more melty and relaxed. Let's do the initial mindfulness exercise, the 3-minute breathing space. So first of all, just seeing how the mind is doing. And if there are any difficult thoughts, a feeling of the mind's awareness softening tenderly around them, not reproachful or judgmental, just understanding that it's hard to be human. And then being aware of how you feel emotionally. And again, whatever you may find at that level, simply allowing it to be with no judgment. And then checking in at the level of the body. This gift, vehicle, of the body. How are you doing, body? What's going on? And then let's be aware of the body being breathed. And if the mind wanders off, coming back to being aware of the in-breath and the pause and the out-breath. Okay, and then being aware of all those levels, breath, body, emotions, and mind. This is how you are in this moment. And see if we can, as best we can, meet ourselves with kindness. We may all have had busy, full days, and this is time to be present. And for us, like coming home, taking good care of ourselves. So being aware of the floor beneath you, and the sense of you actually lying on this planet, which I always find quite a mind-blowing thought, that we're lying on a planet in a vastness of space. And that's just amazing and miraculous. And then around us is the air that we breathe, the oxygen that we take in, and then the homes that we live in. And you may begin to already get a sense of why we do this check-in before we start our practice. because it's as though the body comes to yoga all busy inside, as though the energy and the nadi and the flow within the body is all rushing around. And actually now we've just given it a sense of steadying and grounding, present moment awareness, and we're here. We can move into our practice with that awareness. So let's do that. I have a specific class plan, so I'd like you to bring your legs to parallel to each other and point the toes. Okay, and then if you're starting to cramp or anything, don't stretch too much with the feet. Bring the toes towards you as well. And then breathing in, bring the arms behind you, backs of the hands on the floor, and then open out the fingers and stretch the fingers as far away from you as you can, toes towards you. And then imagine taking a big deep breath, try that, and expanding your rib cage like a butterfly, opening its wings. And breathing out, but leaving that rib cage quite large. And then breathe in. Again, and breathe out. Relax the feet, but keep the arms stretching. Take the arms out to, rather than straight behind us, say if the head was pointing to 12 o'clock and we're looking down on ourselves from the ceiling, you've got your hands about 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Okay. And just opening and stretching. And then breathing in from there, lifting the hands up above the face and join the palms together, pointing the fingers to the ceiling, and lift the shoulders off the ground. Okay. So it's almost as though we're balancing on our spinal column. We've lifted the rest of the back off the ground. As the shoulders, the arms and the fingers reach up to the heavens. And you might feel your back muscles begin to engage, especially around just below the waist. Lift higher. Lovely. And this is one of the kind of secret, kind of secret poses for really tightening up around the sacroiliac joint and for weak lower back muscles. You won't find it easily in books. Okay, and then I'd like you to keep your arms straight up, but make the arms now parallel, palms facing each other, and relax the shoulders a bit, so not pulling up the shoulders off the floor. And then bring the knees up close towards you. And now use the hands to pull those knees in and rock a little from side to side. If you're under a blanket, that's fine. You can still do this with a blanket on you. And just rocking, chin to chest, shoulders, relax them right down. Shoulders are doing nothing. Forehead relaxed. You're just rocking as though we had all the time in the world to rock from side to side. It's really, really rather nice, kind of soothing. And then we can rock a little bit further over. So you're not just getting the mid back, but you're getting the sides of the back as well. Pressure on the floor, massaging into the back. Nice. No rush. Okay, and then the hands on the knees, and let's do circles. And then circles the other way with the knees. Okay, and keeping the knees up, take the arms out, on the shoulders at Maltese cross, coming out at right angles from the body. And I just want you with the knees high up to the chest, Just swing the knees down to the left on an out breath. Breathe in and bring them up, and swing the knees down to the right. And try to look the opposite way to where the knees are going. So keep that going, breathing out, you go down, breathing in, up, out, down. And the head's turning so that you're always looking the opposite way. And I just want to get a little bit of a spinal twist going there. And if you're finding that, oh, I feel that's too strenuous, oh no, that's not easy. We'll put the feet on the floor, soles of the feet on the floor, and do the gentle lie down twist, where the knees are doing exactly the same thing, but then that so goes up to the body. And then stay down one side and melt into the floor. So when we're staying in a pose, there's that lovely sense of awareness of the body as you're just ensuring there's no part of the body that's in pain. If there is, we adjust. Okay, breathing in, let's bring the knees up and down the other side and look the opposite way. And again, settling in as though we're melting into the floor. And scanning the body. The knees are complaining. Take the feet further away from the torso. Lovely. And then breathing in, bringing the knees back up. Pause there for a moment, look at the ceiling. And then bring the chin close into the chest, extend the back of the neck. Keep breathing. And then roll the knees over to one side, and if you did have a blanket, you can move the blanket away, but not too far away, because you might need it in a while. Okay, and then just coming up to seated for a moment. So a nice and gentle grounding bit of work with yoga. Let me just see if I can get the screen just on me. Cool. So can you feel the difference between now and what you were feeling like 10 or 15 minutes ago? Feel like grounded? Anyone? Yeah. It's one of the reasons I so appreciate yoga, that it can change your whole sense of the present moment so rapidly, really. And what we're going to do now is we're going to, if you could come up to standing. So you're standing on your mat comfortably. And we're going to do, we're going to really try to release mental and physical tension. It's called a Lagana style practice. We're using long exhalations throughout, and I find it incredibly beneficial. So I'll send you, I'll post to those of you who are on the thread the layout of the class so you can follow it yourself at home. So as long as you're comfortable with your feet underneath the hip joint and nice and stable, relax the hands down. Okay. And just breathing into that. The feet are actually parallel to each other. And the crown of the head is lifting up towards the ceiling. And the toes is as though you spread them out. And you can close the eyes at the moment if you wish. So being a mountain, Tadasana, mountain pose, hopefully fairly comfortably. A happy but steady mountain, going deep into the very core of the earth. Okay, and then I'd like you to open the eyes and breathing in, take the hands up, long inhalation to shoulder level, and then breathe out, long exhalation, and just leave the hands exactly where they are. And then breathe in, take the arms all the way up, parallel, hands facing each other. And then breathing out, take them down to shoulder level. Breathing in, turn the palms upwards at shoulder level. And then a nice long exhalation as we bring the hands down. Okay, good. And now we're going to go into the flank stretch. So I'd like you to step forward with your right foot. Okay. And look back at your left foot, and I'd like it to be not behind the right foot, but over to the side. So if it was behind, it would be like so, and you'd be like a tightrope walker, wobbling. But I want you to have more stability, and it's behind. So it's as though you've got your foot on the tram lines. And then I'd like you to reach round to the back and do your familiar clasp, bring your hands together. And first of all, simply breathe in and look up. And arch back, breathing out. Nice, long, slow arch. And long, slow out breath. It's hard for me to speak with my vocal cord stretched like this. Okay, and then breathe in, come up. And breathe out. I'd like you to extend the rib cage up and over as you come down. So you don't just squidge at the belly as you come forward. Okay. Coming down, forward, over that front leg, and dropping the head. Okay. Your hands can be resting on your pelvis. If you feel unsteady, you can always bring a hand down to make a third leg. Okay. And then leaning forward as much as you can, comfortably. And it's not a competition. And if you find the hand position just too difficult for you, you can curl your fingers round each other rather than clasped. You can have your palms more like that, curled around each other. Okay. And then when you're fully in the pose, don't worry too much about straightening that front leg. Allow it to be a little bent if it needs to be. Then raise the hands up if you can. If your shoulders allow it. If not, keep them rested where they are. And then forehead coming down towards the shin and breathing into it. So this is a flank stretch, quite strong. And we can breathe out and come down now and take the hands to the floor. Maybe even the palms flat on the floor. Or if you want to, you could try with your fingertips on the floor. And see if you can just very, very gently straighten out that front knee a little. But remember, you don't want to over push anything, just seeing. So you've got both your feet facing same direction as the crown of your head is facing. And you release your head down, which might be bending your elbows. You release your shoulders down. And you see if you can put the palms of the hands on the floor. Now remember, if you can't, you can always put blocks there for your hands. from either side of your foot. Okay, and yes, this is a strong yoga pose, really is. Parsvottanasana, strong pose, really. So to come out of it, which we're going to do now, what I recommend is lean the weight into that front foot, bend your front knee but not over the toes, and then place your right hand on that front knee, then your left, and come up. Okay, and then step your back foot forward, because your front leg had all the weight on it, had a lot of strain going on in there. So bring your back foot forward, because it was the one doing less work at that point, and shake out. Okay, so just shake out. And this is great for runners because obviously they need very stretched out backs of the legs. So while we're pausing and waiting for right and left to stabilize a little, just do a few hip circles where the femur comes into the socket. Let's get them rotating in that socket nicely. And then let's go the other way. So of course that will bring the lubrication into that socket and start to work the fibers, soft tissue fibers with muscle, tendon, ligament around that socket. Bring more blood supply into them and help that area get stronger, which is all to the good. Okay. And then of course, we're going to do the other side. So this time, I'd like you to bring your left foot forward. You might be thinking, but Sarah, how far apart are my feet? Well, actually, your feet are as far apart as you feel comfortable. So mine are not very far apart, really. They're not even, maybe they are my leg length, actually. Maybe they are, yeah, well, I've got short legs. Okay, but we're in that tram line again. So you're not doing the one foot in front of the other tightrope walk in the tram line. And this time, take the hands behind the back, clasp the hands, and then do the unfamiliar clasp. So take the fingers down a notch to the next clasp. So one hand goes down a notch. Okay. And then we'll do the back arch. So we're facing the front, pelvis to the front, breathing in, straighten up, crown of the head to the heavens. Breathing out, allow the head to go back a little. You might want to separate the front foot out even wider. Make sure you're steady. And then arching back. And breathe really however you want to do at this stage. I can't talk very well in it. But your opening front throat area, chest area, doing that lovely back arch. And you've got that lovely back bend on the neck vertebra. The discs in there, whole load of it. So then breathe out, come back up to straight. Okay. And I need to adjust your foot a bit. And we're going forward. So again, let me show you side on. Most of you know this, but side on, I'll do it the other side so you can see more clearly. I don't want you just collapsing here so that you bend forward and squidge up all your internal organs. I really like the idea of you lifting the rib cage up and over as you go forward, okay? So let's do that. Breathing in, lift, and breathing out, down and over. Okay, protecting those internal organs. Remember, if you feel unsteady, you can put a hand on the floor, so you've got a tripod, 3 legs. And then you can see what's happening in the body. Your front knee is probably thinking, oh, can't straighten. Oh no, this is too difficult. It doesn't have to straighten at this point. We're easing into it. Okay. You might want to bring your back foot further forward to make it a little bit easier. And then if you're in unfamiliar clasp, see if you can take the hands up. And if that's difficult, go into the hands, the fingers curling over, and then one palm facing down and one palm facing up. They lock fingers into each other. Try that, going up. Arms to the ceiling. Okay, trying to face, be in line with the front to back, if you can. Lowering the head. Remember, use a hand at any point if you feel you're toppling. Not easy, not easy. And do some nice long exhalations if you can in this pose. Lovely. And release the hands down to the pelvis and then fingertips towards the floor, about in line with your front foot, not toes. And then drop the head again, tuck in the chin. And just experiment. Can you comfortably straighten the leg a little? Would you like blocks on either side to make this pose not just more comfortable, but actually probably more correct if you're feeling you need the blocks? Open out the shoulder blades if you can. Lovely. Straighten out a little bit more the backs of the legs. And lowering the forehead down towards the shin, so you could bend the elbow, drop the shoulders, breathing into it. Lovely, Parsvottanasana. These nice long exhalations, okay? And then I advise to come out of it. You've got a lot of the weight going through that front leg, so the back foot can come forward. Bend both knees this time. Place hand on each knee. Sorry. And come up. Straightening up. Okay, good. And then pausing. Back into the mountain. That was a lot of work. It's so deceptive yoga. You only do that. Oh, there's a lot going on there. So pausing in the mountain, the feet underneath the hip joints, the crown of the head, lengthening up to the heavens. Dropping the shoulders down, the hands become heavy, face relaxed. Check how you're feeling left to right and front to back, steadying out if you can. Lovely. Okay, and now I'd like you to step wider. So stepping wide, and that's wide for me. But when you get to about there, I'd like you to heel toe, even wider. So it's rather crucial that you're on a sticky yoga mat, because I would hate somebody to go into the splits by accident. It would be rather painful. Okay. So let me see. When you get to this stage, you think, can I go any further? I'm just going to see if I can go a little bit further. Goodness for my sticky mat. Okay, just check the inner adductor muscles. That's probably as far as I'm going. This pose is always easier the wider the feet are apart. I'm sorry, I seem to have got something caught on my vocal cords. So the wider the feet apart are, the easier the whole thing is, and that's why I really encourage you to go wider. The toes are usually facing front 12 o'clock, but you could have them a little bit out, but traditionally they're facing the front. And then let's breathe in and take the arms up. And what I would like is to extend your rib cage upwards so that you're making that large belly space. So again, we don't scrunch up those internal belly organs. And then you probably guessed what we're about to do. Breathing out and we're coming down and forward. So again, with the rib cage, I want it to lift up and then over an imaginary bar as we come down, and the hands will touch the ground, and then you'll start, as you begin to lower, to feel the inner thighs really stretching. And this is where you just gauge it for yourself. How far down do I want to go? Lowering, lowering slowly into it. On an in-breath, pause, and on an out-breath, deeper. In-breath, pause, out-breath, deeper. Now, one of the problems with this pose is we so rarely, there's no need really to ever do this kind of stance in our daily lives. So those inner thigh muscles, those adductor muscles, are really not used to this, and they generally feel quite tight and they protest. So it's just easing into it. Now, if you feel you're down fairly low and it's kind of comfortable, you can reach through and take your hands, back to the hands, right through and onto the floor behind you, helping you to drop the shoulders down some more. You can push the hands a little bit further through. Okay, but lots of long, slow out breaths. If you start getting a cramp in the belly, it'll be because you've scrunched up an organ and the belly's going don't. So ease out of it if that happens. And if the whole thing's feeling really difficult, you can do a sort of strange table where the back legs of the table are out wide and the front legs of the table are underneath your shoulders. Okay, and then you can bend the knees and just come down so that it's not like the head is in line with the feet, much more gentle and softer. Okay, so breathing into that. That's Asariti Padottanasana, wide angled forward bend. Maximum to stay in it. 2 hours. 3 minutes is good. Difficult pose to get into. There's a lot happening when you get down there. Longer than 3 minutes is very nice, as long as you're okay. Some people put blocks there so they can rest the head on the blocks. Just think about how could you be more comfortable in this pose. And technically, it's really nice to let the arms go completely. Okay. To come out of it, what I suggest you do is you walk your hands forward, so we're back in that kind of table, and just jiggle your hips a bit, a little bit more weight on your right leg, a little bit more weight on your left, right, left, ankles, knees, hips, just jiggling a little, very small movements. And then I recommend, there are 2 ways to get out of it. You either heel toe, your feet together, or you heel all the way together, or you heel toe until you feel comfortable, and then you push your hands back towards your feet. Okay, so you're either wide apart with your feet or they're closer, and then you bend the knees and come up. Okay, and go back into the mountain. So the soles of the feet probably felt quite a lot of pressure in that one because of the way that we're really working through the foot. So concentrate on the soles of the feet for the moment, and I'd like you to circularly move the weight of the body, front of the foot, side of the foot, back of the foot, side of the foot, front of the foot. Okay, so it's like you're giving your foot a massage by using this circular motion against the floor. And then let's do the opposite way. Lovely. Okay, and then this is really good if you've got something to hang on to. Imagine you've got something to hang on to if you're at home. There's a chair or the wall or something. I would just lift up your feet and hold onto them a bit. So you've got one foot up, you're just holding onto it, and then if you can even reach, do it sideways, if you can even reach through to that foot and rub it a little as you do it without pulling the knee out of its hinge joint position to the side, just keep it hinged bent, rubbing the foot. Okay, and then lift the knees up. That's it. So it's a high step. And you'll feel that it's going, ooh, yes, ooh, yes. Okay, so now we're going to do a Pasariti Trikona Asana, so a revolved Trikona Asana, but it's a Trikona Asana. I'm going to do it with, possibly with bent knee. What I suggest is people, if they think this is too hard, do you remember we've done before where we doing the same pose but from kneeling? So if I ask you, if you feel that it's too difficult what I'm about to show you, you can always do some kneeling side stretches at the same time. For those of you who wish to go into it, just take a stance that's your leg length wide. Turn your front foot away from you. Go straight, that's 12 o'clock over there. And then your back foot's coming round a little. And the instep of the back foot is in line with the midpoint, the heel at the front. And then I'd like you to bend that front knee like we would if we were going into the warrior. So for a Bhadrasana, remember we just drop. We don't lean, we just drop. So the knee technically comes a right angle behind the front knee. Okay. And then what I'd like you to do is just check that your ankle is actually under that knee. The knee is not going too far forward over the foot. Check your back knee, that your back foot is actually aligned in such a way there's no pressure or pain going through the front of that knee joint. Okay, good. And then, so I've got my right foot forward, the left hand is the one that's going to come down to the ground. So bend that knee, down we go. And then the left hand comes down to the ground or onto a block. And the right hand goes up to the ceiling, so we're looking up. Now at this point you might think, well, now my left knee is feeling a little bit compromised. If so, lift the heel up and go onto the ball of the foot, so both feet, toes are pointing forward the same way to that 12 o'clock. You're now looking up to the heavens. Okay, breathing into it. And I'd like some long exhalations. Okay. If you're happy staying there a bit longer, please do. You can push your heel back on the back leg, back foot. But try and keep that front knee, right ankles. Okay, then breathing out, bring both hands down, looking down, drop the head. That's quite a long gap between the back foot, front foot. Looking back at your left knee, let's bring it down to the ground, take some weight into it. What a relief. And then straighten out your front right leg. Okay, so you're sitting back almost as though we're not, but almost as though we're going to sit back onto our heel at the back. Okay, but keep your front toes on the ground. So it's a straight leg and front toes on the ground. And drop the head. Open out the shoulder blades. Tuck the chin in. If you get foot cramp, I advise lifting the toes off the ground in front. Okay, lovely. And then lift the head up, bend the front knee a bit more, and see if you can just slide that front foot back, and we'll have a pause. Let's breathe out long and slow, sit back on our heels, take the forehead to the floor, long torso stretch, walk the fingers away, release the arms down, and let's have a pause. Nice, steady breathing. And if possible, I'd like a feeling of expansion behind the heart chakra. So imagine where the heart chakra is at the front, middle of the chest. And that point behind it, open out the shoulders and the shoulder blades. So sitting onto our heels, foreheads on the ground, breathing into that space. Big open space, the back of the heart chakra. Good. Release, release, release. So then sliding the hands past the head, towards the knees, and just push and come up. Pause so that we're just kneeling for a moment. Close the eyes. The spine needs to probably adjust a little. If you want to, you can do some shoulder rolls. If you're uncomfortable kneeling, either put lots of blocks on your between your feet so you can sit on the blocks, or come out of kneeling and have the feet and legs in front of you straight. And then shoulder rolls the opposite way, whatever you were just doing. The opposite. Yeah. Okay. Breathe in, stretch up. Just clasp the fingers together and push the palms upwards to the heavens and long stretch up. And now long, slow breathe out. Arms coming down, out, sides. Release the hands, heavy from the shoulders. Lift the crown of the head to the ceiling. It's almost as though we're getting an extra long bit between our shoulders, shoulder blades, top part of the torso, and our ears or our hairline. Really making it the longest it's ever been. Okay. Lovely. Opening the eyes, and let's come up. So take it nice and steady, no sudden movements. Standing up. Right. And we'll need to do that whole bit with the other foot. So we have the right foot forward this time. Let's put the left foot forward now, and the right foot goes behind. So at least the leg length width apart. Just check the leg positioning. Okay, so the front foot's pointing at 12, right in front of you there. The back foot's probably pointing about 2 o'clock. And the instep, where it begins from the heel, is in line the midpoint of the front heel. Okay. So you might experiment with going a little bit wider in this one, see if it helps. So, first of all, remember we bend that front knee until we get that lovely right angle behind the front knee. But just see, how does your knee cope with that? Is it hurting from the front underneath the kneecap there? Because if it is, just pull back a little, okay? And check that that knee isn't going forward more over the foot. You want it to be right above the ankle there. And then the right hand is going to go down towards the floor. Okay. So you've got a bit of a tripod going here. And then breathing in, take the left hand up and twist so that you're looking up to the heaven. If it feels comfortable on the right knee joint, you can lift the right heel and bring both feet now like a tram line facing toes towards 12 o'clock. Okay, and breathing into it. And it might feel worse on one side than the other. Or it might be that at this point you're getting a little bit tired, so it's harder on this side. But just trying to breathe into it. If that arm that's going up to the heavens feels really, really, really too hard, let it sneak round the back. So it's back of the hand of your left hand is actually caressing your right side of your torso. Okay, so it's just tucked back, but you're still turning the neck to look upward, breathing into it. And think about it as a twist. So think about your left shoulder, your right shoulder. See if you can get your left shoulder above your right shoulder. So your left chest is actually beginning to start to want to look up at the heavens. Okay. And then you probably quite soon have had enough because it's very, very strong. So drop that right knee down to the ground and just pause with both hands on the ground, looking down. And then again, see if you can bring that left foot back. And if you are comfortable kneeling, widen out the knees. So we're going to do the wide frog pose, wide knees, big toes touching, sitting on our heels. And then again, lengthen the rib cage away from your waist and come down as best you can. So you can actually, it's a funny movement, you can actually wriggle from side to side as you settle down into this pose, forehead on the floor, and the hands relaxed. And when the hands are on the floor, have a feel of what's happening in your shoulder joint. And experiment walking the fingers forward out of the shoulder joint. Okay, and then on the other side the same. And wiggle and jiggle and see if you can get sitting bones down onto heels. And then when you're at maximum arm stretch, kind of let go of hands, shoulder blades wide. And again, that feeling, the very back of the heart chakra, opening, opening, opening. Check how the knee joints are doing. What isn't relaxed in this pose? Have a little see what it isn't relaxed. And see if you can ease and relax there. Okay. And then while your fingers are away in front of you, they might be near a cushion or something. Anyway, what I'd quite like is a cushion, or roll your mat up so that there's padding ready for your crown of your head, because that's what I'd like to do. I'd like you to bring your knees a little bit more together and then place the crown of the head on the floor. And then take the hands and clasp them again. And take the hands up. And then ideally, hard to judge when you're in it, but your knees are under your hip joint. And your hands are going up as much as they can. You've got comfortable padding under the crown of the head. And breathe into the pose. If you can, do the base lock, Mula Bandha,
and pull in a little around the middle lock, around the belly button area, just below. Okay, we're not staying there too long, so release the hands down, bring the palms of the hands onto the floor by the sides of the head. Okay, and then feel the strength through your hands as you push through the hands and the head up. That head's heavy, it's 8 pounds or so off head. Okay, and I just want you to pause in kneeling for a moment. Unless that's painful for you, then you can sit cross-legged, or you can sit straight, the legs in front, or you can sit on the chair. Just pausing for a moment. So in the pauses, the work that I'm doing this evening is these sides of the neck. Quite often people pause and the whole head slumps into the neck cavity. And the neck cavity itself slumps into the torso. And what I'd like you to think about is keeping this area here as long as possible. So the crown of the head really lifting up and the shoulders really dropping down. Okay, but if you do it too much, you might get muscle spasm and headache. So just feeling it then lengthen. And when you feel you've really got it, you might want to take your hands up and do exactly what I'm doing, just testing around here, you know, what is tight? If you find a tight bit, then work it with your fingers. Really work it. See if it's just all spasming up there. A little bit of tender kindness, catching any tight bits. And those of you who haven't got any tight bits, hallelujah. You can just place your hands on your eyes, palms downwards, and rest happily in the kneeling pose. While the rest of us who've got tight bits are kneading the tight bits with our fingers. Bring the blood spine there. I'll wash the area through. Okay, feeling into that. And then from there we're going to do standing again. So not such tiring pose, the next one. We're going to do the tree. You know how to do that. Nicely balanced trees. Different hand positions. So coming up slowly and comfortably, no rush. You know, if you think about it, we are realigning into the neck area and the spine, and I don't want you to kind of kink it back out again. So slow movements. Standing nice and steady again in the mountain. Good interim standing pose. Check that you're not, a lot of people, as you especially notice it as they get older, start to jump the chin forward and round the back. That's exaggerating it. But really think about taking the shoulders back, chin slightly down. The chest, heart area here comes forward, and the shoulders are really dropping down. Right, good posture. So let's do it that we're going to put the weight through the right foot. So don't do anything particularly about the left foot. I just want you to feel that you're pushing more through the right foot. Okay, feel the whole right leg engage. And then lift the left. Okay, you can reach down to the left. If you're getting wobbly, reach your hand out. If you're getting very wobbly, hang on to a wall, chair, something. Okay, this right hand here can be stabilizing you. And then the left foot tries to stick onto your leg. If it doesn't stick onto the leg, hinge the heel to the knee, or to calf, or to the foot, or even to the floor. There's not a lot of weight going through that leg. We're just doing a balanced pose. So see what you can do. Okay. I could see you might be wobbling, so do reach out to a wall, to something if you can. And go into the wide spreading tree to get that balance. And part of the wobbly bit is because our legs have been worked really hard on the previous poses. Okay, so I'm not staying here too long because of what we've done to the calf muscles. So come down, pause, both legs down, breathe, relax into the mountain. So if you think about it, it makes sense. We have been working the calf and the back of the leg strongly in very, very strong poses. So they're now feeling, oh no, they're putting all the weight through this one leg. Oh no. Give them a little bit more time to steady out a bit. We won't stay long on the other side. We're just doing wide spreading tree to counteract any wobbling about. So this time spread all the way into the left foot. Feel it go, and then lift the right foot. Left hand up for balance. Okay. And again, your legs will be feeling a little bit tired from what we've done. Drop the shoulders if you can. And remember, you can hitch the heel onto the knee if it's sliding down the legs. And try and look at a fixed point. Tuck the tailbone under. Chin slightly down. Just come out of the pose and go into it again. Okay. And then breathing out, coming down, but this time, as the feet touch the floor, bring the hands up. Namaste at the crown of the head. Namaste at the forehead. Namaste at the throat. Namaste at the heart. Pausing there, closing eyes for a moment, bring the shoulder blades a bit more together. Tailbone tucked under. Fairly long at the front. Breathing into it. Okay. So we're actually going to come off away from standing poses. So I would recommend make yourself really comfy. So you've got something nice and comfy to sit on. Like you want to sit on your folded blanket or something. Let's do that. Nice and comfy. If you want a block or a little cushion, just underneath your tailbone, that's also a very good idea. Okay, and we're going to do the seated angle pose, one of my favorite poses. So I'd stretch the legs out wide. And as you do that, the knees won't be too straight at first. Just enjoy rubbing the legs up and down, just really trying to encourage them to release and relax. Okay. Now remember the legs, the arms, the torso, it really responds to this kind of massage movement. Our hands, a masseur's hands. It's nice, cells, soft tissue, like to be stretched. Okay, so when we've done that, I would suggest that you just check that your sitting bones are behind you and back and have not snuck forward so that your posture goes out of alignment. As you do that, okay, like pulling them back or pulling your, what the Americans say, butt muscles back, okay? And then getting the adductors again long and widening out. So some of you could do really wide, I reckon. Some of you will start to feel it as painful around the hip joint. So just go to where you comfortably can go and bring your toes in a little. Okay. And then rest the hands, possibly on the knees or lower beyond the knees, and roll the shoulders back and the crown of the head lifts up. Okay. Close the eyes. Breathe into the pose. Okay, breathing in, coming all the way up. And breathing out, again, lift your rib cage up and over. And the hands down towards the floor. Okay. And breathe out. Going down, a little bit lower towards the floor. Dropping the chin and tucking it into the chest, opening up the back and neck. And it's highly likely that you're beginning to squidge up the internal organs in the belly. So just keep reminding yourself, keep your rib cage away from your pelvis, as much as possible. Just lowering down. Hopefully just getting into a fairly comfortable forward bend from here. And see if you can melt into it. You know, as though you're going to go to sleep in it. Really let it go. Okay, and then pushing with the hands, pushing the head back up, breathing in, going all the way up. And I'd like you to turn towards your right foot. So you're turning your torso so that your shoulders are now in line with your right leg, facing your right foot. And you lengthen up some more. So let's look up and imagine trying to reach the ceiling a little bit more. And then more, so that your ribcage really does separate another several inches away from your pelvis. And then up and over as you breathe out, down you go over that right leg. Okay, nice long stretch. So depending on what's feeling comfortable, either your hands will be wrapped around your foot or your shin or resting on the ground somewhere. Do remember not to overstrain, but neither kind of underwork, just somewhere comfortably in the middle. Now, some of you will be having the head sort of resting in midair. Some of you might find that the head comfortably rests just beyond the knee. But we're trying again to almost relax as if we're going to sleep in that place and breathing into it. If you feel you've squidged up the internal organs, you can actually come up a little and almost place the rib cage higher up the thigh or closer to the knee, and then bend the head forward again. See if that helps. Nice long exhalations, if you can remember. Relax the shoulders, widen out the shoulder blade. Lovely, 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 lovely. It's all very soothing. You know, I said we were working on sort of mental and physical tension, so they're really soothing. And as you come up, breathing in, facing the front, arms go up, hands parallel to each other, toes coming towards the torso, push the heels away. Okay, bring the shoulder blades closer together. And then let's look up, let's lift the torso some more. Let's really exaggerate that. Turn and look towards your left leg, up and over with the rib cage, and over you go. Okay, and if you really, wanted to get this very precise, both shoulders are equidistant from the floor as we're now going over that left leg. About halfway down, let's just check that rib cage and the belly, squidged up belly. So rib cage, lift it up again, and then take it down nearer the knee, the very lower part of that rib cage. Shoulders equidistant from the floor, so that's going to cause a stretch on the right hand side of your back. And then the head gently, gently lowering down. Now you don't have to have locked straight knees at all. In fact, I'd recommend not doing that. Soft knees. Eventually opening out the back of the neck, tucking the chin in. And again, almost as though we're going to go to sleep there. So wonderful massage into the internal organs here. You're not working here on the spleen and the descending colon. And yes, the back of the legs, they feel very tight and they do complain a little. You can always bend the knee a little bit more. Oh, but this is good work for you. Really, really deliciously wonderful. Let it work on you, really. Okay, and then sliding the hands towards the torso on the floor, pushing, pushing, pushing up. And then let's go into Sukhasana, the easy cross-legged pose. So I tend to bring the left heel in first, and I'll always have the right leg on the outside. So that's comfortable for you, do the same. Remember, you can have blocks and cushions underneath your knees. You can have quite nice block mount of support underneath your tailbone. And just wriggle and jiggle a bit so that you feel comfy, okay? And then I'd like you to do some more boulder shoals, shoulder rolls, boulder shoals, and then the other way. Quite like boulder shoals. Okay. And then I'd like you to take the arms out and rotate the hands. As we are doing quite a lot of work in there, across back of the heart area. Whilst we were soothing, you will have noticed this, I'm sure, soothing and protecting the front of the heart. So really releasing tension in there. Quite a few of these, twisting. Okay, and then lowering the hands down, resting your hands one on top of the other, and I don't mind which one on top of which other. Just pausing for a moment. If you're very uncomfortable in this pose, for me, it's very comfortable, so I'm happy hanging around here. But if you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is way too awful, adjust, you can put your legs out, you can sit back against a wall so you've got support. One of the most important, crucial elements of yoga is really being tender, gentle, and kind to yourself. For me, this is comfy, and I've got this soft surface to sit on. So as we sit there, let's move into just very simple meditative practice. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to imagine that when you breathe in, energy is rising from the tailbone up the central Sushumna, the central energy Kundalini channel, up the torso. And at the end of the in-breath, it's at the crown of the head. So pause, and as you breathe out, you imagine it descending down. Now, I don't know whether it's a good analogy or a good way to think of it, or a bad way to think of it. For some reason, I think of it like a ping pong ball going up with air up a tube, but that might have connotations for some people. I think it's the lottery and spinning balls or something. They don't have to do that, but I quite like that. So I just get it all the way to the top. And then the air pressure is stopped and the ball slowly goes on down. And just as an aside, in one of the bardo trainings in Tibetan Buddhism, where you're training for death, they believe there is a red droplet at the base of the tailbone, and there is another at the crown. And as you're dying, you get a sense of both of them. And you basically want them to meet at the crown, at the belly button. So one will rise up and the other will descend. And then as you die, can you imagine us all doing this? Don't know. I wonder if we will. You imagine that they rise up through the central column, they're joined together now, and they release through the crown of the head. So genuinely good luck with that when it's needed. But for the moment, we'll go back to our easy one, which is imagining the ball going up. As we breathe in. And the ball descending down the column as we breathe out. And just keep going with that. Playfully, lightly, not focusing or concentrating too much. Okay, and then the next time that the ball's descending downwards, I'd like you to imagine that it goes all the way down, breathing out, and then breathe normally. And it's as though you've weighted yourself down, or all your limbs are also sinking down into the air. Just stay there nice and steady for a moment. Breathing, going in and out, the body being breathed. Face relaxed, jaw relaxed, forehead relaxed. If any areas really tense, you can tighten it a little and then release. Tighten the jaw a little if you wanted to, and then release and drop. And just scan the body now. Where is it holding tension? Where is it not happy? Release it and let it go. Release and let it go. Release and let it go. And one of my customers once removed told me today that there is a Tracy Emin artwork in a cathedral, might be in one of the cathedrals or churches in Liverpool, not quite sure which one. And it's writing and it says, and I haven't got it exactly right, don't think, close enough. It says, I am seen, or I am known if I am seen, or I am known, and I am loved. So here we are sitting and seeing, knowing, just as we are. And then deep within our being, there's an opening. There is that clear light, the source of our consciousness. And just allow it to open. And we're simply loved. Just as we are. And then without kind of rippling too much, disturbing too much, have a think where your blanket is and your socks, if you have any socks, and your cushion for your head, comfiness. Do you need to turn the light off if it's very bright above you? Because we're going to go into Shavasana. And boy, have we earned it. I do these kind of sneaky, strong bits of yoga where you think, oh, we only did like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8, 9 poses. A bit more. But oh boy, did we do them deeply. So, coming down into Shavasana. Just going to get up, turn my light off. So I just want to, as much as possible, really consolidate that feeling of being open, being known, being seen. So the being loved bit, you might think, oh, nobody loves me. Deep inside, there is that which has always loved you. We just kind of don't know it yet. So we're letting it come through. Some of the traditions teach that it's because we're looking elsewhere that we can't feel it. Just letting it arise. But this perfect being, it's a paradox really, the perfect being that's deeply flawed in so many ways, every human, its flaws, even if it's just having a wonky finger. Okay. But at the same time, we are enough. So making yourself snuggly bug as a rug, snuggly snug. Okay, shoulders away from the head, shoulder blades wide, arms upwards. Feet, oh yes, definitely about 2 foot apart, toes going outwards. Just check, maybe push the heels a little out, get that leg out of the hip joint, a little bit tight around there. Take the hands out of the shoulder joints, further away from you, and then relax. Keep checking that the back of the neck is long. And then, hey, let's melt into the earth. Allowing the breathing to quieten down. Any area that's tense, notice. And let it go, let it melt. Release and let go. Do a wriggle and jiggle if you want. Release and let go. Check your particular area of tension. Whether it's usually my shoulders, some people it's jaw or forehead or between the eyebrows. Just check your area of tension. And release, let go. It melts. So as you're letting go and stepping out of the way, the body is working at both the physical level and the level of the more subtle energy. So moving around the body, healing the cells, soft tissue, changing energy at nadi points, at cross points of the channels. And the delightful thing is, we can get out of the way and let the body do what it knows what to do. On the subtle energy level, do what it knows to do. Okay, so for us to get particularly involved with. And hopefully it feels as though the body has dropped away, almost disappeared.
So as usual, if you're very happy staying there, please do. The benefits of what's happening now are too great to rush, and you are able to stay. Allow that deep healing and equilibrium to increase. And for those of you who have things you need to then go on and do, we'll start slowly moving, so wiggling the fingers and the toes and the knees. Roll over onto one side, push and come up, but you don't have to. Every single person watches this and stays down. I would be very happy because it would mean so much benefit for you. Okay, so that's the end of the class. Thank you.